Galaxian for the Atari 2600 video computer system is a conversion of the 1979 Namco arcade space shooter of the same name. Galaxian is essentially an evolution of the arcade space shooter after Space Invaders brought the genre to the masses, and certainly bears resemblance to the legendary title game, what with its alien formation hovering above and a lone space defender charged with the mission of clearing all the invaders before all hell breaks loose. However, whereas Space Invaders featured gradually descending invaders that you have to destroy before they land on the ground, Galaxian changes the game by featuring aggressive aliens that will fly out of formation and attack you outright with swooping attacks and careful shots. This requires you to react quickly to avoid their attacks to prevent an untimely collision, but there's also that risk and reward factor in which killing an oncoming enemy nets you more points than if you were to pick them off from formation. Now, all of this may seem trivial, maybe even obvious, but for the time it was a formula for a rather fun and challenging little space shooter, and certainly it was a step above the slow but methodical Space Invaders, which always had the same pattern on each wave. Galaxian was a bit more aggressive in its attacks, and that's what made it a somewhat enjoyable shooter even decades after its inception. Galaxian on the Atari 2600 is a rather respectable conversion of the game, so much so that I much prefer this version over the arcade original. For one thing, the 2600 version of Galaxian moves at a much quicker pace than the arcade game. I always found the arcade original version of Galaxian to be a bit slow for my tastes, particularly when it came to the sluggish nature of your spaceship. But here, everything feels just that much quicker. Your shots are quicker to reach the top of the screen, the Galaxians swoop down much more quickly and are much more aggressive to compensate, and your ships can maneuver much more quickly than before. It's not a huge thing, but at the same time it's a major upgrade that makes an already decent concept that much better. Controlling your spaceship is simple enough. The stick moves your ship, the fire button fires. Controls are smooth and responsive, the challenge is firm but fair. Starts off easy, gets harder. That much is obvious. Not much to say in that regard, it's pretty straightforward. Even within the ancient graphical capabilities of the old Atari video computer system, Galaxian looks pretty decent and resembles its arcade origins rather well. You can make out the various Galaxians, your little spaceship from parts unknown, you have the different colored Galaxians and all that. The yellowish border around the playfield is something of an odd choice. Understand you couldn't use the full television resolution, but I don't see the reason behind the yellow border. Is it supposed to represent the arcade cabinet? Because it really doesn't work. This isn't a Commodore computer here. We don't need no stinking borders. And stuff. Sounds alright, I guess. Wow, that's some deep critical analysis right there. Sounds alright. Okay, I think the sounds are actually a little higher pitch here than they are in the arcade original, but other than that, it sounds alright, close to the arcade game. So there, that's all I got. Let's go with it. On a whole, Galaxian on the Atari 2600 is very good. Not quite an accurate conversion with the yellow border and all that, but it does capture the essence of the arcade original, and it's close enough. So, there you go. Definitely a worthwhile addition to the VCS library if you don't already have it. The end.